I had all of this fear around sharing, and what happened when I first started sharing and every single time since is that the world leaned in for
Sure.
me
For sure.
because I am a real person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's far more relatable and magnetic, and it creates connection and inspires action
Mm-hmm.
than pretending to be someone that you think you're supposed to be
Yeah.
to build a personal brand.
Hello, Brave Table fam. Welcome to another episode of The Brave Table. I'm your host, Dr. Neeta, and this is your destination, your oasis to be all things just a little bit more brave in your actions, in your relationships, and in your life. And I have a story for you. What if the hardest story you've ever lived was the most powerful story you could tell? Today's guest went from surviving attempted murder to helping women around the world turn their truth into movements and their mess into magnetic brands. I know, powerful. That is Brielle Cotterman. She is a TEDx speaker, entrepreneur, contributor, and the founder of a next-gen publicity company that's helped hundreds, if not thousands already, of changemakers, advocates, entrepreneurs be seen, heard, and celebrated through their life's work and their life's mission. She's here today on the Brave Table to show us that media isn't just for the glossy few. It's for anyone brave enough to tell their story, own their truth, and share it with the world. So, without further ado, this week you are going to just fall in love with this queen, learn more about yourself, and see how you can exponentiate your brand and what you're bringing out to the world. So let's get into it with Brielle Cotterman on the Brave Table. Welcome.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. I feel like this has been a long time coming.
A long time coming. I was so thrilled to be here with you.
And I know that we connected instantly because
Like via text.
I know
We were
via
just like,
text
"Ooh."
when we were talking
Yeah.
about like, oh, Joe Dispenza, and then I feel like there was so much. And I
Yeah.
think, this happens a lot with people who have been through a lot of stuff to then have so much light on the other side. And when I see you, I see a magnetic light. I see so much power. I see all of the things that you do. Because right now we are at the Millionaire Founders Club,
That's right.
which is what you run and you put together with Sunir Madani, CEO School. And we're in Orlando. And it's been so wild to see you. Also, you have this agency that helps entrepreneurs, leaders, change makers get publicity and tell their stories on stage.
That's right.
And you're a mama of 3.
Yes.
Okay. I want to just start there. Who is Brielle today telling her story?
This is something that's changed, obviously. And I think that's a big part of it. We're not always going to be the same.
Yeah.
That story is going to expand. It's going to grow. It's going to shift and change. It might be a part of us, but it doesn't have to define us. And today, I am a successful, multi-passionate entrepreneur and successful mother and wife. And like most women, I wear a lot of hats. And I'd like to think that I try to find that harmony so that I do them all as well as I can.
Yeah. Well, you are doing it well.
Well, thank you.
It's like coming here was like coming to just Mama Bear's arms.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yes.
Literally from you. I mean, it's
Good.
just, and I know you hold a lot of things in a lot of people, but today it's about you. And, your story is incredible, and not just because of what you've overcome, but how you've owned it and turned it into a really huge platform so that other women can step into and tell their stories in such a huge way. And so, you've gone on to become a national speaker and founder of a major PR agency. What gave you the courage to finally speak your story out loud? Because so many of us can say, that's not a story I want to even lead with or tell. So I want to start there.
Yeah. Okay, great. So I didn't to begin with. I didn't want to tell that story. Anytime someone experiences something challenging, anytime we experience abuse in any fashion, there's always a level of shame that comes with that. And I hid behind that story for many years. So my whole life fell apart, unraveled right before my eyes. I lost everything. I had to start over with 2 small children, and I worked remotely. I ghost authored subject matter expert books and
Yes, you
worked
did. Yes,
yes.
you did, queen.
And I worked with one of the largest marketing and PR agencies in Boston. And when I left that organization, went out on my own, started my own agency, I was still playing small because I didn't have the courage to do what I was imploring my clients to do every single day, which was figure out who you really are, own your story, and share it with the world. Because that's what really creates a true magnetic personal brand, is when we're really real. And that story held me hostage for a really long time.
Mm.
And I let it. And I also had to heal.
Yeah.
It was a huge process. It still is. It's ongoing.
Of course.
And years of therapy, healing practices, everything that I knew I needed, everything that I could get my hands on, basically, to figure out how did this happen and how do I never get into a situation like this ever again. And one of the things that really motivated me was I felt like in that experience, my story was taken from me. It was told for good news
Yeah.
or good gossip,
Right.
but it was not told ever once during that time from the perspective of a young woman married, 2 small children, and nearly lost her life. Everything else was about all of the other details. It was about an experience that someone else inflicted upon me, not on my experience.
Yeah.
And so I did let that story keep me playing small for a while. And when I finally stepped forward, I was launching a book for a client who was in Europe, and we were doing all these wonderful things. And she said to me, you have to tell people your story, because her book was about a life-changing experience that she had had. And she said, when I really wanted to step forward and share this, I didn't know how to package it. I didn't know what I felt comfortable with. And you were able to help me with all of those things because of what you've experienced in your life. So you really have to share that. And that was really the nudge that I needed, because I knew, it finally became too uncomfortable to not share it, more uncomfortable to not share it than to actually share it. So I just had to figure out what I felt comfortable with, what that vulnerability threshold was,
Sure.
and how I could step forward and share my own story. And when I did, my whole entire business changed. Within 6 months,
Wow.
my business quadrupled in size.
Wow.
And it shows the power of a personal brand. I was giving people, I've always approached publicity from a different perspective. Publicity is a tool.
Okay.
And if you're storytelling, not only are you creating an incredible magnetic brand where you can create connection and inspire action, but you're also giving yourself the opportunity to get where you might want to go. So whether that's a book deal or a great, ranked podcast or growing your business, publicity and earned media really help along the way. But there's a million pitches out there every single day. And when you can share your story, that's what people care about, because we're hardwired for human connection.
Yep, we're still hardwired for
That's
human
right.
connection. You say being real is the most magnetic form of marketing. What does that mean when our truth is also our trauma? How much of it do we share? How much of it do we not share? How much of it do we move through first and then share?
Sure.
Where do we go with that? And I'm sure a lot of your clients also you're kind of workshopping their stories as well, because you don't want them to like sob on a media interview.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
So absolutely. So one of the things that I always tell people that I think is really encouraging to remember is that your story doesn't have to be filled with drama or trauma in order for it to make an impact.
Yes.
And your story belongs just as much to those people that need to hear it as it does to you. So however, when your story does have challenge in it, when it does have those difficult emotional moments, what I typically suggest is you should be able to tell that story without crying, without getting overly emotional.
Yeah.
Before you attempt to tell it in public.
Right.
For me, it took about 5 years. And there are some parts of that story that I still don't think I could tell without crying. And to your point of how much do you share, you have to figure out what is.
There's that oversharing too.
That's right. We don't want anybody to air their dirty laundry, of course. We just want, here's the thing. when I share what I have been able to overcome, when you share the challenges of your life and what you have been able to create and overcome, it shows me as a person who you are. And
Mhm.
that's what a real personal brand is really about, because at the end of the day, people see themselves in you, or they see themselves in your story. And your story doesn't have to be exactly the same as theirs.
Right.
But when you share your story scientifically,
Mhm.
it evokes within me the same emotions that I experienced when I went through a
Mhm.
challenge.
Mhm.
And I say, oh, she gets me,
Yeah.
like just intrinsically it's there.
Right.
And then when you share what you're doing now, your rise after
Mhm.
the overcoming, after the challenge, if she can do it, I can do it. So it's inspirational.
Right.
And a lot of times we have a really hard time with that third piece of the story. So who were you before? What is the major transformation or the overcoming?
Yeah.
And then the rise of who are you now? So those are the three pieces of storytelling. I know it can seem very overwhelming, but it's really that simple.
Yeah. Well, and are you also teaching people to write their pitches, or are you doing all of that?
So we have a full service agency, the
Okay.
Influential Leader Agency, and over the last 15 years, we've helped hundreds of thousands of people step onto the world stage and tell their story
Mm.
and make the impact and the difference that they're looking to make. And we're full service, so we do
Mhm.
those sorts of things. But what we do is we teach people there's 3 stories that you need to be sharing.
Ooh.
And you also, that storytelling form, the profitable storytelling format is what we talk about, those 3 pieces.
Yep.
Because you don't have to overshare.
Right.
I can share that I'm a survivor of attempted murder and domestic violence, and you know that I'm an overcomer. I can share that I was a single mom of 2 for 7 years while also being an entrepreneur, and you know that I can get stuff done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's really what storytelling is all about, and allowing people to see themselves in your story, which gives them permission to accept that about
Mhm.
themselves. I think sometimes we feel like I can't share that information because it's not professional, or
Mhm.
we have these things that we've imagined in our mind that might happen. I didn't share for years because I wanted to be taken seriously as a professional. I
Mhm.
didn't want to be stigmatized or labeled
Right.
as a survivor. And I had all of this fear around sharing. And what happened when I first started sharing, and every single time since, is that the world leaned in for
Sure.
me,
For sure. For sure.
because I am a real person.
Mhm.
And that's far more relatable and magnetic, and it creates connection and inspires action
Mhm.
than pretending to be someone that you think you're supposed to be
Yeah.
to build a personal brand.
Oof. What do you think is the misconception these days about personal branding and what people are doing online? What do you see that you're kind of like, "Oh, cringe. Let me help them do this better."
Yeah. Well, I think there's a couple things that I see people doing wrong.
Mhm.
One is talking about too many things. I get a lot of people that come to me that want to be speakers, and they want to author subject matter expert books, and they want to really build their thought leadership.
Mhm.
But we can't be a jack or Jill of all trades and be a thought leader in those spaces.
Yeah.
So it's really focusing on what is your area of expertise. And then it's the power of media. So it's a huge tool. And I think that we often don't understand that instead of waiting until we reach a certain level
Mhm.
to pursue media and exposure, if we use it as a tool along the way, we can actually leverage it to help create what we want to create.
Oh, interesting.
Mm.
So using media is a big, like,
It's
underrated it's an underrated skill.
an underrated strategy.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. It gives you instant credibility, instant authority, and it positions you as the go-to expert in the space because, every single time you are featured, I don't care
Mhm.
if it's local or regional television, I don't care if it's a top-tier publication or niche specific, they could have chosen anyone.
Yeah.
I work with journalists that get literally 200,000 email pitches in a week
Oh my
signed.
gosh. Wow.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
And
And they're
they
just
could have,
picking one.
right? That's right. And they could have
Picking one.
chosen anyone, and they chose you. So it's
Mm.
a really important strategy to be able to shine a light on your voice and your story
Yeah.
and who you are, so that you
Mm.
can create a bigger impact and reach more people, because it's the currency of attention right now.
Yeah, of course. And well, so I want to shift into the stories that we do choose to tell,
Mhm.
because I feel like you've helped, hundreds of women and men step into their spotlight.
That's right.
And you say that magnetic brand starts with a story. So we already talked about the 3 signature stories. Now, what do you think that we can do as, people with our personal brands? A lot of people,
Mhm.
do you believe that everybody is that walking personal brand? And do you think that everyone should be using their 3 signature stories on social media, on, Instagram, LinkedIn?
Sure.
How do you view that?
Absolutely. So first of all, everyone has a personal brand. It's
Okay.
just whether or not you curate it. So it is there. The narrative will happen.
Mm-hmm.
I was in this exact same position when everything that had gone on in my life, the story became about the actions of another person
Right.
instead of about me.
Wow. Yeah.
And we have the opportunity to lead that narrative. We have the opportunity to influence it. Someone else will lead the narrative if you don't. The media, a competitor, someone will be leading that narrative because the story is going to be told. So you have the opportunity to step forward and share it yourself. And the 3 pieces of that story apply to all of the stories, but there are 3 stories you need to be sharing.
Okay.
And that's the story, your breakthrough story. So the
Yeah.
story of your why.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
allows people to connect with you and really know who you are and what your heart is.
So the breakthrough story.
That's right.
Okay.
And then your business zone of genius,
Got it.
which is a story about why you're the very best at what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do, how it affects your clients, how the differences and the changes you've been able to help them create. And then the third story is your passion story.
Okay.
And that is the prompt that I love for that is what would you do if you had all of the time and all of the money in the world that's not your work? Because 99% of all entrepreneurs will say, I would be doing exactly what I'm doing. I love my work, which is
Right.
fabulous, but we're looking for another connection point. It's just another way of humanizing ourselves because we have this luxury of being able to communicate with people all over the world
Right.
on podcasts or on television shows through these screens, which is fantastic. And it's also an added barrier to communication and heartfelt connection.
Okay. So, I like that. So the passion story it
Mhm.
would be completely different from your business.
Absolutely.
It should be.
It should be. So,
Okay.
for instance, I live on a 100-acre horse farm.
I saw that.
And and I'm a world's grand champion equestrian, and I raise and show horses. And
Oh my
I
gosh.
spend my days as much time as I can with, my shoes off, walking. I have a mile-long driveway, and my kids and I walk on our farm, and we're in nature, and that's, super healing for me. And so I'm really passionate about that lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And so would you curate your bio on Instagram to have those things?
Those are the 3 pieces I wanna see all the time.
Okay.
So,
Would you say that you would like post it or pin it onto your top of your feed?
yeah, so well, I think our Instagram bio, our LinkedIn bio, those sorts of things have to be really, really curated to represent the difference that we're creating for people.
Mhm.
So that's important to me. So, if you look at my Instagram bio, it's going to say, or on LinkedIn, it's going to say, I help industry experts become influential thought leaders.
Mhm.
And it's also going to say, I'm a world champion equestrian. And
So you also want to add that
that's
in
right.
because that humanizes
That's
you.
right. Because think about this from a social media perspective, because we own that media. So that's owned media that we can create ourselves.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it is a platform, but you have to think about it like we are a culture of voyeurs. We
Mhm.
love to see what people are up to, what they're doing, how they live, all of those things. And when you see a social platform that's so curated, every single thing is a templated graphic. It's boring, right?
Right.
There's no human connection there.
Right.
So we
And-
have to be more intentional,
Okay.
but we definitely can do it.
Wow. Okay. This is like a whole master class on like branding and
Yeah.
storytelling. I love this. Okay. So for the woman listening who feels like her story isn't big enough yet
Yeah.
or polished enough yet, what would you say to her right now? What are the top 3 things that she should be working on?
Well, people either feel one way or the other. When I speak, half of the room will raise their hand when I say who feels like they have so many stories they don't know where to begin.
Yeah.
And then the other half of the room will raise their hand when I say, who feels like maybe their story isn't special enough. And
Special.
so
Okay.
that's where it's about 50-50. I'm definitely in the camp where it's like I have so many stories, I don't know where to begin.
Yes.
But no matter who you are, I think it's really important to remember that your story belongs just as much to the people that need to hear it as it does to you. And that is so valuable because sometimes it's hard to share a story. Sometimes it's hard to figure out what our vulnerability threshold is. And we want to not share something, whether we think it might be too boring or we think it might be too much. But as women specifically, we've been conditioned to fit inside a box and to play small and to communicate in a way that is friendly and professional and all of those things.
Totally.
And when we are daring enough to believe in ourselves and own our voice, and I don't care if you're telling me a story about overcoming a challenge that has been heart-wrenching, or if you're telling me a story about how you've lived a really beautiful life, either one of those and both of those are equally as inspiring to the person that needs to hear it.
What do you think the biggest mistake is that leaders trying to position themselves when they're doing it for the first time as thought leaders?
I think that there's two things. One, they don't start early enough when it comes to personal brand because they're not thoughtful and intentional enough about it to realize I have this great opportunity to build and curate my own personal brand. And second of all, they talk about too many things.
Oh, okay.
So it's really difficult. If I'm going to book you as a speaker, I want you because you are the very, very best at what you do. And if you are a person who's talking about everything under the sun,
it's hard to.
That's right.
It's hard to nail.
It's hard to identify you as a thought leader in anything when you talk about everything.
Oh, that's good. So niching down is probably the best thing.
It's very important. Yeah.
So you've built a business that helps people get book deals, press features, and speaking gigs. What's the behind the scenes mindset shift it actually takes to go from expert to icon?
Such a great question. That's, I think it comes back to owning your voice, but also thought leadership is totally different. Becoming that icon, you have to have thought leadership. And when we help our clients to develop that, because a lot of people have a lot of great theories or concepts. We've all read those books or heard that speaker where we're like, oh my gosh, this is so inspiring. But like, what do I do? How do I put this into play? How do I put this into practice in my life? That's the difference. That's the difference between an industry expert and like that true icon, that person that you can't wait to see the next book that they put out. You cannot wait to consume their content because it gives you a strategy. It gives you a way to take action. And that's what true thought leadership is really about. It's not just the concept or the theory. It's the intellectual property of what is it that you are doing different that's shaking things up, that you're going to give me a new and different path that maybe I wasn't aware of to begin with.
Well, and I think that's, it's because you see everyone kind of making so much content and we're like so content, like oversaturated and very content heavy, where now we're talking about the angles and, the different ways to position your camera and your lights. As somebody that's doing this and helping people tell their stories, how much of that is really important when we're trying to garner this attention?
Yeah, it all comes back to being real. So when we think about, authenticity is a word that's often overused, and authenticity has become this sort of like packaged way of presenting ourselves. But the reality is people care about themselves. So when a person is deciding whether or not they want to give you a book deal or whether they want to book you to speak or whether they want to feature you in their publication or even hire you for your consulting or services or whatever it might be, when they can see a part of themselves in your story and you are being so real as if we were sitting there having a glass of coffee together, that is an emotional buying decision inspiration.
So how can you create more of that?
Yes. So by being real with who you really are first, you have to know that. And then being able to share your stories. Storytelling is the quickest way to create connection and inspire action. So sharing those 3 core stories. And here's the other part. we think that sometimes it gets boring because we have consistency in our storytelling. But you have to remember, anytime a person makes a buying decision, they have to encounter a product or a service up to 8 times before they
8
even
times.
consider buying.
Wow.
So
So do they have to see that same story from you 8 times in different ways?
not necessarily the exact same story, but they want to see a part of it that shows up through consistency. So there has to be a lens of consistency. You do that beautifully.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm like, well, I don't even know if I do that anymore. But like, for instance, somebody like a Gary V, like, he had the 3 or 4 things
Yes.
that he really, really loves, and he went in hard.
Sarah Blakely does a great job of it too.
Sarah Blakely is really good at that.
She's always kind of top of mind when I think about it, because she isn't going to necessarily say the exact same thing every time she speaks, but the message is always very consistent. The stories are familiar enough that it provides a level of comfort for the people who are hearing, because she's not really like that shock and awe type person.
Right.
There's very much that predictability that she's showing up. Her personal brand is very curated.
Oh, interesting. Mel Robbins is another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, it's so...
And that's the thing, when you think about the people who are really killing it, like the personal brands that we love.
Yeah.
The personal brands that are inspiring and we're dying to see what they're putting out next.
So what do you think for somebody that's like, okay, they're listening to this, they're wired, they're like,
Yeah.
okay, I have homework. I'm going to pause this right now, and I'm just going to write down like the 3 things.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it. So what do you think they should be focusing in on?
So first piece of advice.
Yes. And if they're making their content for like 30 days.
Yeah.
So do you want them to do those 8 pieces of content for that one thing?
No. So, okay. So think about this first and foremost. Sometimes it's tricky to tell our own stories.
Yes.
Because we are our own worst critics.
Totally.
And so think about writing your stories in third person to start with.
Oh, that's good.
Then it gives you an arm's length of emotional distance. It also gives you the ability to come back and read those stories and be objective about it. Don't be hard on yourself, but be objective. Like, is this something that would spark an interest in me? Is this something that I would want to know more about?
Yeah.
And then when you're thinking about your content, you should have no more than 4 pillars of content. I tell my clients that all the time.
4. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, like, for instance, my pillars of
Yes.
content are storytelling.
Yep.
The power of publicity, my family, because that is, if I weren't including that as one of my pillars, I wouldn't be being real, because that's a huge part of who I am.
Right.
And my advocacy. So those are my 4 pieces of content. So basically everything that you see in my social media, every interview you ever hear me give, you will see some version of those 4 pieces.
Huge.
Everywhere. And it gives that level of consistency.
Wow. Okay. So you've helped your clients get into Forbes, Fast Company, and book speaking tours, and land on big stages as well. But I know what lights you up the most is when your clients own their full self.
Absolutely.
So what was that one moment when you knew that this work that you're doing is bigger than PR? This is purpose.
So here's the thing. I had been, even prior to telling my own story, I had been doing this work. I had been literally encouraging my clients every single day, you have to share your story. Because when I worked in the PR agency setting to begin with, I recognized that people were often disappointed with their agency.
Yes.
And my undergraduate degree is in statistics, so I wanted to know why. Like, I need to know why things work.
Okay.
And thought leadership is not a guessing game. It does not have to be. The reason why a traditional PR agency structure often creates disappointment is a PR agency's job is to pitch their clients. If you haven't done the proper work ahead of time and you don't have that strong foundation of a great personal brand where it's very dialed in, it's extremely consistent, they can get you all the features in the world, but they may not even be driving the right people to your space. And when those people do come into your space, they may not know if they're the right person to take one step closer to you.
Oh, okay.
So that was just this huge missing piece. And it made total sense to me to kind of scrap the whole structure of a traditional PR agency, build out the foundational personal brand first.
Okay.
So we're extremely aligned.
So build a personal brand first.
Recognize
and then-
who you are, the difference you want to make in the world. One of the prompts that I always give, which I think this is a great exercise, if the world is your stage, what is the one message you want to share?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Huge.
And so I was doing this already before I ever got the nerve and the courage to share my own story. And I will tell you, the first time I switched my Instagram from private to public, I did it like 6 times in one day because I was like, oh no, this is too scary. I got to go back. I got to go back.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I'm supposed to do this. And so it was, I knew that I stepped into my soul's work.
Yeah.
And I had these little, I felt like the presence of angels like guiding me forward every time I felt that level of fear.
Yeah.
And I know it's because of the difference that I personally have been able to make by sharing my story, by people. When I first stepped forward and started talking about domestic violence, and that, you know, our media typically does a really poor job of sharing what that looks like, and what survivors really look like and what that journey really looks like afterwards. I had sometimes thousands of emails from people who needed to hear my story.
Wow.
And that,
Thousands.
yes.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And so that was the validation that I needed to know that not only is this my soul's work, but I have to help more and more and more people do this.
Wow. Brielle, you're just leaving us speechless with so many things to think about. And, you know, I think that with we know our stories, but I think many times we need somebody to pull it out of us.
That's right.
And I feel like you just with your framework, with what you've been doing in the agency, and I've met a lot of the clients, and they're incredible
Thank you.
women. And I feel like you guys do such a great job of curating specific people that you want to really amplify.
That's right.
And that's a testament
Thank
of
you.
So I just want to honor you and your big light. So where can we know more about the agency? Where can we know more about you? How can we follow you and get to know everything that you're doing next?
So we gave a personal brand checklist. So there will be a link in the show
great.
notes for that. And
Perfect.
then for
And that's
me,
free?
Yes, it's
Okay.
complimentary, completely complimentary. And it's a really great way to kind of get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Really great first step. But on social, I am everywhere as Brielle Cotterman. So it's Brielle and Cotterman.
Okay. We are getting into our rapid fire round.
Okay.
So this is our spill the chai round. Okay. What is one misconception people have about visibility or media success that you wish we could break right now?
It's the word performance. So performance is a really important piece. We have in-house media training there. Again, I wanted to do things differently. I have seen so many people get a great opportunity and shoot themselves in the foot, do more harm than good because they weren't prepared.
Yeah.
They
Because
were
those
not.
segments are only like 3 to 5 minutes.
That's right. When you're on a television show, the average time on the air is 3 minutes. So you have to be so succinct, so direct, so savvy in your thought leadership that you can go in there and bring tons of value and show up in a way of service. And that's tricky. And there is a performance element to thought leadership. And performance isn't necessarily a bad word. People think the misconception is performance means fake.
Yeah.
And that's not the truth. It means well prepared.
Well prepared.
Yeah.
Oh. What's the most surprising thing about press that no one prepares you for?
I think that you have to recognize right now there are so many places to take in information.
Yeah.
And when you get media, you have to give that media a life. So you're going to get incredible opportunities. You're going to get new people to come into your space, but you have to think of it just like a client journey. They're just starting a little further out. So you really have to guide people and give them a way to take a next step closer to you.
Yeah.
And that's where the media strategy really comes in. So it's not just about, I'm going to get this media opportunity and my whole business is going to explode. Yes, that can happen, but there has to be strategy behind it. You have to guide people and give them the first steps to step into your world and then continue to give them the opportunity to take another step closer to you.
Yeah. What's your biggest hype song before going on stage or camera?
It's from The Greatest Showman.
Oh, yeah.
This Is Me.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that the
Yeah. I have that on my playlist too.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
it's this is a great story. So whenever I first was stepping into my own thought leadership, I was playing this song in the car with a girlfriend of mine, a horse riding girlfriend of mine, and I was like, I'm gonna be like, I can literally see this. I am on the stage walking on, and this is my introduction song. And so the majority of the time when I speak, that's my
I love
that's my intro
it.
song.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Yes. So good. Final question. What do you think it means to be brave?
I think it means showing up in a way that's real.
Mhm.
It takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of bravery, but the rewards are so immense, and not just from a business perspective. I can tell you there is nothing that freed my heart and my soul more than sharing my own story and stepping forward from something that held me back for so long.
Mm.
And so being real and recognizing that that has more power than anything, that takes a lot of bravery.
Mm. And one word that describes the season of life.
Full.
Yeah. Thank you, Brielle Cotterman.
Thank you.
What a beautiful pleasure and honor it is to sit with you and your wisdom and your
Likewise.
passion. Woo. Okay. I hope you all are cracked open just as much as I am. I hope you are going to download the free link and see your personal brand checklist, see how that's going to help amplify the stories that you tell and maybe what you're doing and maybe what you're not doing. Let's see if we can brave some of those things. Tag both myself and Brielle on the Brave Table at Neeta Bhushan, at the Brave Table on Instagram, or if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet on YouTube, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and tell us what parts that you love the most. What are you actually going to be changing, adding? And if this conversation sparked something different for you, maybe changed your perspective, go ahead and share it with a friend, a family member, somebody that needs to be brave in their storytelling. What are the stories that perhaps you can be telling more of? Because it is your time to shine. And I've linked everything about Brielle in the show notes. So if that interests you to go work with her and her agency, phenomenal. I will see you guys next time on the Brave Table. You know I've got so much more in store for you. So if you are really ready to dive in and keep owning your emotions like the boss that you are, click right here. Go ahead, don't be shy. I'll see you in the next one. Keep shining.